not. Like, James ain't very likable. Nefarious is going into how, is his side, is evil versus good, whatever. Baby, why James, the person who don't even believe in good and evil and all that stuff, got nerves said, well, your side's not doing too well. What? You don't even believe in demons. How do you know how his side is doing? Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be reviewing the new movie Nefarious. Now, this is listed as a horror thriller. I haven't really heard anything about it, and I feel like I knew it was coming and completely forgot about it. Typically, I don't like to really watch previews, so normally I just go through the list of upcoming movies. Typically, like, I read the synopsis and I either put it on my list or I don't. And this was one that I had on my list, but I don't know. Like I said, I just forgot about it. And it is now on Amazon Prime for rent. So I actually rented it like a few weeks ago, but I just got around to watching it yesterday, and I just felt like I gotta talk about this movie. Now, first of all, if you are not aware, then you probably shouldn't be watching this unless you just don't care about spoilers. But Nefarious is a horror thriller about a serial killer who, on his day of being executed, is evaluated by a psychiatrist to determine whether or not he is mentally sane and therefore fit to be executed. And the serial killer ends up saying that he is actually a demon. Now, I didn't see any preview, so I'm not really sure how this was marketed, but I would much more categorize this as a psychological drama. I definitely wouldn't say horror. I mean, you got a demon and possession, so I guess they want to say that's horror. Definitely wasn't nothing thrilling. I wouldn't call it a thriller, but I kind of have mixed feelings on this because I feel like this was a good idea. I am the person that I love the demon possession subgenre. Like, I could watch that all day. I don't care how generic the movie is. I love that subgenre. And it's one of my favorite subgenres in horror because unlike vampires or a person stalking you with a knife, the scariest thing to me is like ghosts and demon possession. I 100% be like, yo, that is real. I'm not playing with that. Like, I'm that kind of person. So I just love that subgenre. And I do feel like this was an interesting take on that because basically, and the reason why I feel like this isn't horror, the movie is pretty much just the psychiatrist, James, and the demon / possessed person, Nefarious / what was the guy's name? Hold on, you guys. What was Edward? So it's pretty much just two guys in a room talking to each other. Like, literally, that is pretty much the bulk of this movie. And y'all know me. I want the horror. I want the gore. I want some murders. Like, I want something really crazy in my horror. And while I do feel like this was an interesting take, it didn't quite give what I needed it to. Like, but that's just the mind warped horror fan in me. So I can see how honestly this could not be a lot of people's cup of tea because I'm the type of person, I would consider a movie like this kind of boring unless you have some extremely dynamic characters and dialogue that is fully keeping me engaged. And while I feel like this movie was okay, it was straight, it wasn't terrible, it didn't suck, there were a lot of moments where I was kind of like, okay, I'm bored, my mind is wandering off. The dialogue wasn't as well written as I would like. Now, the movie starts off with this guy in his office and he's like writing and just doing whatever in his office. He gets on the elevator and he jumps off the roof and kills himself. And that's just how the movie starts. So we then end up seeing the Dr. James going to the prison And we find out that the previous psychiatrist that was interviewing this serial killer, Edward, committed suicide. So we need to have the prisoner's competency, evaluated, because you can't execute an insane person. So now we have this doctor coming in at the last moment, and the warden pretty much tells the Dr. James that we need a decision by 4:00 because, bro, we about to, take this guy out by 11. And another knock to the movie, I feel like the general core idea, I actually think it's a good idea. And I think in better hands, it could have been executed in a lot more entertaining fashion. But another issue with the movie is the acting. And I won't say that the folks in the movie are terrible, but it just feels kind of subpar. The warden, the random guards and stuff, and the Dr. James, I felt like it was some real mediocre acting. And the moments where I was kind of bored when we have the conversation with Nefarious and James, I won't say I put the bulk of it on the James character, but I'm put a lot of it on him because he was very uninteresting, unlikable. Like, who the hell are we supposed to root for in this movie? That's my other issue with the movie. So you have the guy that's possessed, who we don't even really spend a lot of time with. We spend most of our time with the demon that has possessed him, Nefarious. Baby, who we supposed to root for? Because I don't like James and I ain't on James' side. James ain't very likable, okay? So James, just on paper, James just in general is just a very uninteresting, uninspiring character. He's very blah and drab and boring and dull. But then the actor, in my opinion, didn't give me a very convincing performance. Like I said, wasn't rooting for him. I wasn't very pulled into his performance. The best performance he gave for me was when we get to the very end and he does a news interview. That was his best performance in my eyes. But the rest of the movie, when he's going toe to toe with Nefarious, another issue I have, it kind of felt like a college student going toe to toe with a first grader. It felt like, and I get maybe that's the point, is that James doesn't have the wits to match Nefarious. But I also mean just in terms of the performance. Now, the guy who plays Nefarious / Edward, I pretty much only know him from that movie with Sylvester Stallone that I love, I See You, and an episode of Criminal Minds that I love. That's really all I know him for. And anytime I see him, great actor, he's good. I have no problem with him. Now, his performance in Nefarious, which the movie kind of gives me Falling with Denzel / what was that movie with Edward Norton where he played somebody with a split personality? Okay, I had to look that up for a second. My mind went completely blank. The movie is giving me Falling with Denzel Washington and Primal Fear with Edward Norton. And so I'm it could have been very interesting and very entertaining. And I feel like if we had two different actors playing Nefarious and James, and if we had a better written script and all the other little bit players were better casted, better quality actors, it could have been a lot better. The Nefarious Edward character. Now, when the movie first starts, I was just what the hell is this? I was man, this seems shanky. What is this? Because when it starts off and we have James, he goes to sit with Nefarious for the first time. The actor playing Nefarious. Now, when we meet this character, we meet Nefarious. It's not Edward yet. It's the demon. And he's talking super fast, and it was annoying me because I was why are you talking very manic? And then he was blinking his eyes weird and having these facial twitching. Why? You're possessed by a demon. You don't actually have mental illness. So why are you doing all this? And you don't want the psychiatrist to label you as mentally ill because you want to be executed. So what's with that performance? And just take that out of me not understanding why he doing all that and it not making sense. It just wasn't very good. It wasn't very convincing. I feel like the actor playing the possessed person playing the possessed person, but also playing like a split personality person. He didn't really bring anything to the performance that was anything I hadn't seen from any other actor that has ever portrayed a character with split personality. Didn't bring anything as dynamic as any other actor that I have ever seen play a character with split personality. It was more so just annoying me and not really making any logical sense for me. It was very much giving overacting, right? So the other issue I have is I feel like this little game Nefarious plays with James was way too easy. James, child, when I tell you the most unprofessional professional I done ever seen. Anytime I see Criminal Minds interview a damn serial killer, you're not supposed to let them get in your head. You're supposed to get in their head. Like, James personalized this way too easy. He got rattled and shaken up way too easy for me. It just felt, James in general felt very unnatural. I felt like he was making decisions and speaking dialogue that just felt unnatural, that felt like no real person acts like this, no real person does this, no real person talks like this. So they are having this conversation, right? And Nefarious tells James off rip that he's a demon, right? And 5 seconds into the conversation, Nefarious is able to get under James' skin because they start talking about like, what do you want me to call you, whatever, and Nefarious calls the Dr. James. But you know how folks is when they're a doctor, they want you to call them Dr. James, whatever his last name is. So Nefarious is like, okay, well, I need you to call me my title, Prince of Darkness, or something like that, child. So James is like, yeah, I'm not calling you that, bro. And Nefarious is like, okay, Jimmy, James, whatever, we on a first name basis, like, I'm not calling you your title. And Nefarious goes into saying, oh, we all know names are important, they mean something, they signify, stuff, because James' whole thing with wanting to be called doctor was, I worked hard for that title. And I felt like you already like out of the professional hat and giving him little inches to get under your skin. I wouldn't have made it a big deal, whatever the hell the person want to call me. I'm here to evaluate you to see if you mentally ill. It's not that deep that the person calls you your title that you worked hard for. Like, why even throw that in there? I don't know. I just felt like it was too easy. He was personalizing stuff. It wasn't flying for me. It wasn't flying for me. Now, they end up having it set up where, okay, so basically we're just watching these two people have a conversation. And it does get very drab. It does get very boring. A lot of the dialogue does feel very unnatural. Now, one issue that I can see folks having with the movie that I didn't have is I'm one of those people, like, whatever my opinions on stuff are, I don't really care what the movie is saying in regards. Like, I care more about the entertainment factor than the movie aligning with, like, my thoughts. Like, it's a movie. Like, it don't need to really align with my thoughts, if that makes sense. But I can see this bothering a lot of people. So, basically, in the movie, the demon's whole thing is, I'm a demon, and we're using the humans to like get back at God because we're gonna take what he loved and destroy it or whatever. Like, honestly, I was spacing a lot. Y'all, Nefarious could talk. Like, he was giving damn monologues the whole movie. So honestly, I spaced a lot. But the gist of the movie is that you have a demon and an atheist. No, James is an atheist. You have them discussing theology, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, what the heck is theology? Like, I had to look the word up. I ain't know what that meant, child. But for anybody who is layman like me, theology is like the study of biblical stuff. I can't even remember the damn definition, child. But it's something along them lines. Like, discussing like creation and the Bible and God and demons and stuff like that. So they're having this whole conversation. And when we start the conversation, Nefarious tells James, before the night is over, you're going to commit 3 murders. And see, this irked me about the movie. Because when he said you're gonna commit 3 murders, this is partially why I sat through being bored and uninterested, because I was like, oh, okay, some kind of way he gonna flip this and James gonna end up murdering somebody. I don't know if he gonna make James cease. You know how like you hallucinate and you think somebody attacking you or something, so you end up killing somebody. Kind of like in like that recent Conjuring movie, The Devil Made Me Do It, where the boy was like, thought he saw this monster attacking him and his girlfriend, and he ended up killing the guy. See, so I'm just trying to like figure, oh shoot, he about to kill 3 people, like what's finna go down? Y'all, he don't kill nobody. And that kind of irked me. But again, that could just be the warped horror fan of me. I wanted murder. Like, I was like, so basically, the whole, but by the end of this, you're going to have killed 3 people. What it actually is by the end of this, I'm going to tell you how you have previously murdered 2 people, and now you finna murder 1 person indirectly. Because the 3 people that James murders is, for one, his mom was sick with a disease and he helped in an assisted suicide, which they say euthanasia. I ain't never heard nobody refer to humans and say euthanasia. I only know that for animals. I'm like, who talks about humans and says euthanasia? Maybe it's some kind of political debate that I ain't up on, but I have never heard anybody say euthanasia outside of referring to dogs. So the nefarious guy is like, oh, you killed your mommy, like that. And again, James lets this person who might be psychotic, who might be crazy, who might not even be mentally competent and sane, get under his skin and rattle him. You bring up my mama. I'm not even finna indulge. Like, it's kind of like when you do interrogations, you're supposed to always be able to bring it back home to the point. When the person, the subject veers off and try to make it about you or try to personalize it or try to rattle you again, you're supposed to be a professional and be able to bring it on back to the point. No, not James. He jumps up and gets mad and storms out. I'm just like, bro, you really gonna let this guy get under your skin like that? You're the doctor. He's the crazy person. But the second person in the whole you gonna kill 3 people is Nefarious ends up saying, oh, you have a girlfriend and you're going to break up with her, but not until you have somebody else lined up and she's having an abortion right now and you're not even there to hold her hand and the baby's want to come to hell and we're going to welcome him at the altar. Like something crazy. And this was part of the dialogue that felt very unnatural. But anyway, like this whole conversation that they have back and forth. So the whole situation is, and I was a little confused. And again, I was spacing, so maybe it's something I missed. But I was like, wait a minute, how James is the murderer? Because number one, I was confused on if James even knew that old girl was having an abortion before Nefarious dropped the bomb. But even if he did know, which, bruh, how you got her there by herself? Like, that's a little uncouth. But but even if he did know, I'm sitting here like, wait, but he here. He ain't, like, if you are that person that thinks this is murder, he ain't the doctor or like the lady. How he the murder? I don't know, like it just wasn't adding up. But again, I like, look, it just wasn't adding up for me. And then the third person he murders is the guy Edward that Nefarious inhabited, possessed, because the whole thing is you either label the person insane and then they don't get executed, or you label them sane and competent and they get executed. Now we're gonna get to that because that's a whole thing. So after Nefarious goes into the at least I didn't kill my mother, because he ends up letting James have a brief conversation with Edward, which the Edward person we get stutters and is very meek and mild, and I'm sitting here like, baby, how the hell you don't know that person insane? You get two completely different like demeanors, patterns of speech, like everything between Nefarious and Edward. You cannot label this person sane and competent, but whatever. Now, after the professional, loses his composure about the mom and gets easily rattled and about the girlfriend having an abortion, which y'all, this ain't make no sense to me. When Nefarious brings up the abortion, he talks about you could go hold her hand, tell her you want to be with her for the rest of your life, tell her you want to hold your baby. It's not that simple. Why are you telling the serial killer that could be possibly insane any type of justification, reason? Like, why are you saying it's not that simple? Why am I telling a crazy person? Why am I trying to justify anything to the serial killer? Yeah, it just did not make any sense, but it just felt, a lot of the movie felt contrived. It just felt like the movie wanted to make a point and say a certain thing, so it just like made James so unnatural and just had them have these very unnatural conversations and interactions, which honestly sometimes was interesting, sometimes was drab and boring. And some parts were interesting for me just because I do feel like it was a different take on the demon possession movies that I have seen. But again, I wouldn't call it horror. I would call it like psychological drama. Now, eventually in the conversation of them going back and forth, James declares that this guy is insane, right? So he says the guy is insane and that he has the whole split personality thing. Well, he didn't call it split personality. I forget what he called it. But basically that he has split personality, that is some kind of new name for it. And after being like the guy is insane, he go arguing with him about I'm not ready to be a father. You just said the man is insane. Why are you justifying anything to the serial killer to tell him you not ready to be a father? It just did not make any sense. Now, child, I ain't no doctor or psychiatrist, but I don't think this is how you're supposed to govern yourself when you are at a prison talking to a serial killer, trying to declare the man insane or not. Now, James ends up leaving the room to go try and call his girlfriend to stop her from having an abortion, which again felt very unnatural and didn't make no sense to me. For one, if he already knew she was having an abortion, why talking to the demon? Well, he don't believe the God demon, because remember, he atheist, so he don't believe in demon, devil, God, nothing. So if I knew my girlfriend was having an abortion, why would I let the serial killer on death row, possibly insane, who I just said is insane, rattle me and get me to change my mind, but I ain't ready to be a father and I want her to have an abortion to get me to get up and call her and try to get her to not have the abortion? I don't understand, James, how you that easily influenced by the insane person, serial killer on death row, that now you jumping up, rattled, gotta call your girlfriend to try and stop it. Which he was too late. He calls the clinic and they like, she already done with another child. You can talk to her when she wake up or something like that. But it just did not make any logical sense to me. How did the character of James get from point A to point B? How did he go from he want her to have the abortion, which he said something like it's her choice or something like that, to I gotta go stop this? 5 seconds ago, bro, when you was talking to the serial killer, you weren't ready to be a father. You was on board with the abortion. So now why 5 minutes later are you trying to stop it? That didn't make no sense. There was really no rhyme or reason for James to be changing his mind. Now, something else that didn't make any sense, when James comes back in from trying to call his girlfriend, right? He all upset with Nefarious, want to know how he know information by his girlfriend and all this stuff. And he's like, why don't you, tell me the truth and all this stuff? And why don't you tell me, the story of how you got this information? But Nefarious is like, I did tell you the truth. I told you the story, but you don't want to hear it. I tell you a demon. I tell you I'm a demon. You don't believe me. I tell you I'm not a demon. You don't believe me. Like, what you want me to say? Because you ain't accepting anything that I say. So James got the nerve to say, give me the real world, non-supernatural way you knew my girlfriend was having an abortion. How you gonna put stipulations to tell me how to tell you how I got information? Baby, that don't even make no sense. You can't stipulate how I tell you how I got info. Like, do you want me to actually tell you? Like, This part of the conversation, I was like, okay, this don't make no sense. This is stupid. James, you're an idiot. You're an educated fool. Like, that didn't even make no sense. Give me the real world non-super. You can't tell me how to get an answer, because what if the answer is supernatural? Just because you don't believe in supernatural, my answer is supernatural. But this also didn't make no sense. Nefarious is going into how, is his side, is evil versus good, whatever. Baby, why James, the person who don't even believe in good and evil and all that stuff, got nerves said, well, your side's not doing too well. What? You don't even believe in demons. How do you know how his side is doing? That was so if James was just saying stuff again. It was contrived because it felt like, the writers, the people making the movie just wanted to say something, so they just had to have James, make little comments in order to get Nefarious to. And y'all, okay, I'm finna get sidetracked, but this was also crazy. Basically, the movie got the dang demon preaching the because the demon is basically like abortion is murder and the assisted suicide thing, and I'm sitting here like, bro, you a demon. But the whole point was, okay, that the demons get the humans to do all this stuff so that the demons could win. So the demons believe in the Bible, but they get the humans to do the opposite, so they can go to hell down there with the demons. Y'all, child. Now, I very much love movies like, The Prophecy. Like, I love all that stuff. The devil, God, hell, all that stuff. Do I necessarily, in real life, believe in a devil or hell? No, I don't. But I don't have no problem watching a movie that's different from what I personally believe. But I will say, it is clear the movie take a stance. The movie is like, nigga, this what it is. This what we believe. You're going to hell. The abortion is wrong. The assisted suicide is wrong. It makes, got commentary on the death penalty. And I can see how some folks, especially because the entertainment factor ain't the highest, could be a little perturbed if they don't necessarily agree, with the film. I ain't that person. Do I necessarily agree with the film? No, I don't. Like I said, I don't believe in hell. I don't know, child. Demons and angels could be real. How do I know? But I don't really believe in the devil and hell and heaven. I don't think, all the stuff the movie think. But I was interested because, first of all, the dang demon preaching. But any movie you watch, even if it's, what's that movie with Tyrese, Legion, any movie you watch with demons and angels and God versus good versus evil and all, Constantine, it's gonna all, have, its ideas, which is fine by me. I'm watching it to be entertained. And I will say, with Nefarious, I was teeter-tottering and entertained, bored. Entertained, bored. And part of why I was entertained was me being curious about where the story would go. Where would they take this? Now, something that didn't make sense is while Nefarious is giving his monologue, James looked shook. He looked disturbed. And I'm sitting here why you screwing your face up like that? You don't even damn believe he possessed. You don't believe in demons. So that, again, it didn't make any sense that the conversation even went where it went. If, James, you're the professional doctor, atheist that don't even believe in this stuff, you should have just checked box 1, he crazy, called it a motherfreaking day. I don't care what you pulling out about my girlfriend. That should not rattle you. But anyway, so Nefarious whole thing is that we need your help. You know, him, the devil, oh shoot, I hit my mic. Him, the devil, the demons, all them, they need James. And pretty much what the whole thing is, James gonna write they little like Antichrist Bible. And I gotta tell you, I was confused because Nefarious kept saying the carpenter. I'm like, who the hell is the carpenter? Who is this carpenter that they got this grudge against? Y'all, if you're a heathen like me, okay, the carpenter was Jesus. I did not get that. I did not know that. The carpenter is Jesus, okay? So they want what the Bible did for the carpenter, aka Jesus. They want their little Antichrist, evil demon Bible to do the same thing for them. And James gonna write the book. And the whole thing is the demon has been plotting all of this. That's why he had the first psychiatrist kill himself, because he wanted James to come here, which I'm still confused on how he got the first psychiatrist to kill himself. Like, how did you, because he says that, you know, humans got their free will. And what the demons pretty much do is kind of whisper in your ear and manipulate, because he was saying how, oh yeah, there's a part that I thought was really dumb as hell. Like I said, I don't care if I don't believe in something. Like, I'm not playing with stuff. So Nefarious at the top of their conversation tells James to invite, like, in order to, he's explaining how he possessed people, that you can't just possess somebody. You know, you whisper in their ear, you do little things, and the person gotta like invite you in a series of like yeses or whatever. Baby, why James talking about, okay, I invite you in, inhabit me, da 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 da. I'm not playing them games. If somebody say, Nicole, let this cow inhabit you, do I believe a cow or a flamingo or anything can inhabit me? No, that sounds crazy. But am I gonna like say the ish? Nah, bro. Is it just like I'm not playing with stuff that, you know, could be beyond my no. Like, I'm not even finna play. So I'm sitting here like, why would you even say that? I just felt like it should have stuck with, I'm a doctor, I don't believe in this, you're not being rational, I'm not going to play along with your delusion. Like, it shouldn't have been no fine, I'll say it. That didn't make no sense to me. But James' whole thing is, oh, you couldn't do it, nothing's happening, you idiot, he plotting and planning. So I felt like the second that happened, I was like, you know, it ain't that he can't possess you. You done gave him the invitation, and now he gonna possess you at another time. And I thought maybe that would come into play with him supposed to be killing 3 people. But like I said, they tricked me with them killing 3 people, dog. He ain't kill nobody. Now, while they having a conversation, a warden comes in to interrupt, and they're going through Edward's cell. And they find a book full of pictures of James. Like, they got James' whole life, from pictures of him as a kid. James said they got stuff in here I didn't even know about myself. And we find out that Nefarious been plotting this and planning this since James was a baby. And as well as the guy Edward that he possessed. He says he started whispering in Edward ear when he was like 3-4 years old. Now, they also find, and this don't make no sense to me, remember, I told y'all, Nefarious told James, you gonna write this book for us. And he told James, don't even worry about it, bro, because it's already written. They find a manuscript in the cell, and it says, written by Dr. James, whatever the guy's last name is. Jump to the end of the movie. Old boy writes the book, he on the talk show. How you get the manuscript? It was in the jail's possession. So how did the doctor get it? Like, how that work? That didn't make no sense to me. But anyway, we end up having, let's just skip ahead, because y'all, it was a bunch of drab stuff. James seated stuff in the cell, and the warden is like, you know what, I'm glad this happened, because now you got some skin in the game, and you could just declare this nigga competent so we can kill him. They go have cigarettes. It's a few times through the movie, him and the warden go have cigarette, have a little drab, terrible acting, you know, little conversation, whatever the hell. So we get back to the room with Nefarious, and James rattled, upset, not being professional, and the warden is just like, yo, label the nigga sane so we could get this over with. So Nefarious going over to not Nefarious, James going over to Nefarious close to the table like, was I supposed to be one of your victims? Was you planning on killing me? Because apparently the little book he had about James, that's what he did all his victims. Baby, Nefarious done broke his little hand, a finger or something, to slide it out of the hand, cause he take the chain, wrap it around James' neck, start strangling him. And none of the guards could do nothing cause he like threatening him like, nah, stand back, I could break his neck. And he's like, beg for your life, James, beg. Do you want to live? Beg. And when he finally let James go, he declares him sane for execution. When I tell you James is the biggest idiot, the most unprofessional professional who is so easily manipulated. So because you upset, being emotional the whole damn interview, you gonna label somebody that you said earlier was insane. You gonna label them sane so they can be executed because you upset? Because you mad? Because they put a chain around your neck? Like, for real? Y'all, come on now, child. It just didn't feel realistic to me. I mean, it just didn't. So that's when Nefarious like, that makes 3, James. I told you, that makes 3. One for their side, I guess. Because James is a duck. It just did not make any sense to me. Oh, because you mad, you labeling the person sane. So that was his 3rd murder. The whole, you go by the end of the night, you gonna murder 3 people. And the only murder I'm giving him is this one. This the only murder I'm putting under James' belt. James was just an idiot and so easily manipulated, and I don't like how they played it because I felt like it was way too easy from the start of the conversation. It didn't feel gradual to me. It just felt like from the jump with the name, with bringing up the mom, James just got so emotional, unprofessional, out of the job, like took everything way too personal. I'm sure if you're a psychiatrist and you talking to folks in a mental institution or something, no, they may not know your girlfriend having an abortion, but I'm sure they probably try to throw stuff at you, try to use stuff against you, try to, take the spotlight off them and put, like, it's probably all kind of mind games that people gonna play. You supposed to be able to handle it to an extent. Like, I feel like it didn't even get like far. So I feel like this is way more just psychological, and probably psychological for the audience. Like, not for me, but like for audiences. But man, I needed a better actor than James. I really did. And this didn't make no sense to me. As they pulling Nefarious out after he chokes James, and James is like, the nigga, he's saying kill him because I'm mad and I'm upset. Nefarious is screaming, I want you there, James! I want you there! I didn't believe the performance. It was a lot of overacting. Oh, and something else I forgot to mention. When they first started the conversation and Nefarious is saying he a demon, James brings a priest in. Talk about over dramatic and overacting, and the issue ain't make no sense. The priest come in, and Nefarious is like, what do you want with me, priest? Like, he flips out. But the priest is like, oh, I don't believe in no demons. Hold on, baby. How you a priest and you don't believe in? So you believe in God and angels, but you don't believe in the opposite? Like, that ain't even make no sense for me. Like, I'm sorry. How I believe in water but not dirt? Like, it just don't even make no sense. Baby, you a priest. And he gonna say, like, I could see you may not believe that this person is possessed by a demon. Fine. But to just say, oh, demons ain't real, and I'm just like, okay, bro. Like, alright. But then Nefarious is like, oh, you don't believe in it? Alright, bro, you cool. Bro, you were just tripping and flipping out by the priest walking in, but now he cool because he don't believe in it. It just ain't make no sense, whatever the hell. But this terrible, like, what do you want, priest? Like, it was just like, The hell am I watching? Like, it was some stuff that was very cheesy. Okay. Now, this didn't make any sense. Let's get back. Nefarious yelling, I want you there, James. So we see James and the warden having a conversation, and the warden is pretty much saying, you done did your job, you don't need to stay for the execution, you need to take a little pale ass home. Baby, why the hell James, who just made a decision out of anger, because he emotional, gonna say, I need to know I made the right decision. Nigga, I ain't got no degree. I ain't no psychiatrist, and I can tell you made the damn wrong decision. Come on now, child. It just does not make any sense. And him saying, I need to know I made the right decision, that's not even logical. Either you believe the guy is a demon or you don't. If you believe the guy is a demon, then the boy not insane. And if you believe the guy is a demon and the boy not insane, that means the person he possesses is innocent. And if you don't believe in demons, then you gotta believe that the person is insane and got the split personality. He would talk to Edward, then he would talk to Nefarious. So which one is it? What do you mean I gotta make sure I made the right decision? So you believe the guy's a demon? Since you say he's sane? Like, it's a lot that it just wasn't adding up. Like, it just wasn't logical. Now, y'all, the thing that got me, the part of the Edward Nefarious performance of the actor that was so good was when this all happens, we see Edward in his cell crying after they like cut his hair. Y'all, okay, so earlier they come and ask Edward what does he want for his last meal. Edward answers, right? But then Nefarious pops out and says, nah, that order I just gave you, I don't want it, I'm not hungry. They like, you sure? So now that Edward is Edward again and Nefarious not here, Edward in his cell crying, what about my meal? What about my meal? The guy's like, you said you ain't want nothing. Yo, this hurt. And we don't even spend a lot of time with Edward, but I felt so empathetic and like this hurt in my gut to see him crying like that. I just felt so empathetic towards his character. Like, it was hurting me. Like, he one of the victims. He possessed. Like, the nefarious person is the serial killer and did all this stuff. And I just feel like this goes into James being an idiot. When you talk to Nefarious versus Edward, the speech patterns are different. The demeanor changes. Like, it's not a sane person if I'm the doctor and I don't believe he possessed by a demon. It's literally two different, like, people that you're speaking to. And I was thinking of when James would talk to Edward, Edward would say, Nefarious does things, and then he'll leave so that I could take the punishment, take the pain. And I'm thinking about the beat down after Nefarious chokes out James. That's Edward catching the beat down, not Nefarious. Edward walking to the execution was literal breaking my heart. And another thing that I'm like, y'all know this nigga ain't sane. Apparently, which I don't know if this is true to life, you get to pick how you executed lethal injection or electrocution. Ain't no sane person choosing electrocution. Like, come on now, child. What sane person is choosing a dang electric chair? Like, let's be for real. So we have a very hard to stomach scene of Edward being electrocuted. And it ain't even hard to stomach as far as gory. It's the emotional impact because you feel bad for Edward. He an innocent victim, and earlier Nefarious talks about what happens to him or what's going to happen to him when he get electrocuted. So I'm also thinking about that. So they flip the switch. And who are the crazy people that be watching these damn execution? I don't want to watch this. Like, it's like people sitting there watching the execution and they flip the switch, electrocute the guy. They got to go check his pulse, whatever. And all I could think is, I bet he ain't dead. And he wasn't. I knew it. Now, it was some cop in there sitting next to James. This cop was weird. He was saying the oddest stuff. But after, I don't know, the cop was very off-putting. Like, something, if I didn't know that Edward was possessed, I would have thought he didn't even kill nobody. Especially because right before Edward is executed. When they ask if he has any last words, he's like, why are you doing this to me? You know, tell them the truth. I was like, baby, is you talking to the doctor that just signed off on you being sane when he know you ain't? Or are you talking about the cop sitting there? I couldn't figure it out. So I'm thinking like something weird with this cop. Like, that's just the vibes the cop was giving me. Now, after Edward is dead, James hears Nefarious talking to him. And Nefarious possesses him. Because, baby, you gave him permission. And James, being controlled by Nefarious, takes the cop's gun. And I thought this ain't make no sense either. Anytime I see a movie where detectives and stuff go into a prison, they take their gun. Like, you really let them have a gun? Like, that ain't that like a risk? Like, why would you have a gun? I didn't think that made any sense at all. But he takes the gun, and the warden and everybody is like, put the gun down. It's over, doc. And he puts the gun up to his like chin to shoot himself. He pulls the trigger 3 times, but nothing happens. And then we find out later they did ballistics, and it was no logical or rational reason why the gun didn't shoot. And now we get the best actor from the person playing James. We see him on this talk show being interviewed, right? And he wrote the book, which I'm still questioning how the hell he got that manuscript, but whatever the hell. I thought this was weird. So James is talking about what happened at the prison. So you admitting you like had an innocent man killed because he was possessed or either not sane. So for a portion of the interview, James is talking about how the malevolent spirit possessed him for a time to grab that gun. But the host is asking him if he's a believer, and James won't call himself a believer. So do you believe it was a demon or not, bro? I thought that was odd. Like, either do you believe it or not? Like, what do you mean you're not calling yourself a believer? But this was definitely different from other possession horror, which I'm gonna give them points for originality, for trying to do something different. The movie definitely has a message. I personally wouldn't call it preachy, but was it subtle? No. If you are in like complete just disagreements and you just don't want to stomach anything that you know is against that, you probably ain't gonna like the movie. Like, I'm gonna just be real with you. And even if you one of the people like me who it ain't gonna bother you that the movie has like a agenda or message that's opposite from what you believe, you still might not like it because you might find it kind of drab and boring. Like I said, it's just 2 people in a room having a conversation that isn't even like the best, like well-written script. Like I said, I watch movies for entertainment. This one has some teetering and okay entertainment value. The music in the movie was horrendous. I don't know what the hell was going on, child. But I was curious where it would go. I was entertained in parts. The third act definitely was way more entertaining than the first 2/3 of the movie. Interesting, entertaining enough. Clever spin on demon possession subgenre. James is one of the most uninteresting, uninspiring, boring characters I have seen in a very long time. Just a generic cardboard cutout little like character that don't even feel like a real person. Very unlikable. But I think overall I would give Nefarious like a 3.5 out of 10. And I know that sounds low, and it is low. But I just can't give it more than that. My mind was wandering for a lot. I was bored. I wasn't extremely engaged. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the message of the film. It was the execution for me. It was, you could have given me something. It's like, I'm not Christian and I don't believe in all that stuff, but I can enjoy a movie with that kind of agenda if you give me something entertaining enough. You know what I mean? Like, something engaging. I don't necessarily have to believe, you know, the story, but you need to entertain me. You know, I like Prince of Egypt. I like, Passion of Christ and all that stuff. Because they was well executed movies. This wasn't. But if you're like me and you feel like, you know what, I would just like to see what they did with this, I would say it's worth the watch, because like I said, if you love that demon possession subgenre, this is a different take on it. The third act does get more entertaining, but you know, you could just save yourself the time. I'll be honest with you. But for me, I'm glad I watched it. For me, it was worth the watch just to see something different. Cause y'all know I'm all about the murder and mayhem and blood and guts. So I am happy with it. In terms of not time wasted. You know what I mean? But if you saw Nefarious, let me know in the comments, how did you feel about this movie as a whole? Would you like to see something like this but executed a whole lot better? Because honestly, I would see something like this. And if they made, because the way it ends, it feels like they could have a sequel. I would watch the sequel. I would. And let me know in the comments, are you like the type of audience that feels like you don't want to watch a movie with like a certain agenda that you don't believe in? Or are you okay watching those movies if they're entertaining enough? I feel like I'm one of those people. I kind of don't care what the message of the movie is. If it's entertaining enough, sign me up. Thank you so much for watching this video, for supporting the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.